He didn't come and just fulfill the letter of the law. He came and he fulfilled the underlying principles that were the base of why the law became what it was. And as we see Jesus, we become more like him. And the intent that is behind the law becomes more important to us. And we strive to live the intent of the law. Do not murder. Must account for your anger. Jesus did this. One of the principles was we must account for our anger. He lived out that spirit. But there's a deeper principle here. There's a deeper underlying concept with the law, and that is God values reconciliation. God values it highly. Anger usually leads to a gulf between myself and somebody else. But you know, anger can also be a catalyst for accomplishing and even drawing together. It's unusual. Most of the time we're angry with somebody, we lie in bed at night and we stay awake and we mull over what all they've done wrong to us. But Jesus is different. Several people over the last couple of weeks have gone to me, pointed out something that I said 2 weeks ago. Jesus gets angry. Most famous example, he finishes walking into Jerusalem on Palm Sunday. They're all crying out. He walks into the temple. He sees people ripping each other off. He sees theft going on, and he turns over the tables. A little later on in the week, he goes out and he yells at the Pharisees, basically. Woe to you, Pharisees! Woe to you, teachers of the law! Calls them snakes and hypocrites and whitewashed sepulchres. All sorts of nasty things. So what's Jesus' reaction to seeing people getting ripped off at the temple? I'll throw it out there. Anger? You know what his response is? This is really important. Yeah, his response is anger. What is his response to his anger? What does he do because of his anger? You think through this. Sunday he walks in, he throws over the tables. Wednesday, he yells at the Pharisees. Friday, he goes to the cross. Think about this for a second. He's angry with them. And so he goes to the cross. His response to the two main points in his life where we see the anger of Jesus really standing out, that very week, his anger leads to his crucifixion, his dying so that they may have life. His anger leads him to take an initiative to fix the problem. You know, somebody may be angry with me and it may not be my fault. But according to this, I can still take an initiative to fix the problem. Use that as a catalyst to bring the kingdom of God forward, not backwards. I don't deal with this well. If somebody's mad at me, I tend to run. I don't deal well with anger in myself or in other people. I don't like it. It's an area of growth for me. Most of us do not turn our anger into a catalyst to make the world a better place, to make it right. But that's what Jesus did. And you better be quick about it. Let's look at this. Settle matters quickly with your adversary who is taking you to court. Do it while you are still together on the way, or your adversary may hand you over to the judge, and the judge may hand you over to the officer, and you may be thrown into prison. Truly, I tell you, you will not get out until you pay the last penny. What's this talking about? Anger, but somebody's dragging me off to court and I'm supposed to sell. What does that have to do with me being angry? It's not necessarily always my anger we deal with. I want to read another passage. It's out of Hebrews chapter 12. Make every effort to live in peace with everyone and to be holy. Without holiness, no one will see the Lord. See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God, and that no bitter root grows up to cause trouble and defile many. You make the effort to live at peace, okay? You can't always do it. I get it. We're going to look in a minute at another passage, Romans 12. But here, you make an effort, okay? Might not always succeed. The fact that it might not work that you can live at peace is not an excuse to not try, okay? Make every effort to live at peace. And what does it go on to say? See to it that no one falls short of the grace of God. Make sure that nobody misses the gospel because you fail to live at peace. What's more important, that you're right? Or that somebody knows that Jesus came to forgive them of their sins? That Jesus came to bring love to our world? My goal is to find solutions. Remember a problem with a brother back home? Why are you bringing something to the altar? Run home. Run home. You got a problem with an adversary, an enemy? Fix it. And fix it quick. Romans 12:18. If it is possible, as far as it depends on you, live at peace with everyone. It's hard. I was reading this week about a woman who was having a tough day. Everything went wrong at work. She got home. She walked into a messy house. And she started screaming at her son. As I'm reading this, and reading what somebody wrote about it, I'm thinking, should she be upset with her son? Absolutely. Yeah, probably should be cleaning the house. Does she have a reason to be angry? Absolutely. Absolutely. Does mom have a responsibility, though, not to transfer undue anger from a bad day towards the son? And there she absolutely has a responsibility as well. Because she's angry at something else doesn't mean she should be angry over here, right? Instead, find a solution. Find a way to deal with it. See, the bottom line, it's more important to see Jesus than to win an argument. It's more important to bring grace than anger. We should be angry about sin. But in our anger, does it lead us to turn people away from grace? I mentioned last week about some of the vandalism that went on here at the church, and I got upset about it. Coming up with all sorts of ideas in my head as I'm cleaning up how to take revenge. I loved Kareem's response. She brought them Rice Krispie squares, the ones who did it. Do you think that went much further than me getting angry? How about I sin, and Jesus' response is to come to this earth and die on a cross, and do you know what? I'm much happier that he came and died on a cross rather than he just yelled at me a lot. It's much more likely to bring about change in your life, I'll tell you, to have the power of Jesus than just to get yelled at. And that's true with all of us. Reading a while back, and I was trying to find the story this week and I couldn't, but people were upset over the way homosexuality is often portrayed in our media, in our culture. And the response was to create a hospice for AIDS victims. I think that makes a lot more sense than some of those who've gone around and set up placards and protests in front of funerals for those who've died of AIDS. Isn't that more Jesus' response? Anger can lead us to fixing things. It should. Otherwise, more problems arrive. If you go to court and you owe somebody something, Jesus says, deal with it quickly. Come up with a solution. Otherwise, more problems are just going to arise. You lose your focus. And your focus should be on Jesus. And that person over there will never understand the grace of Jesus, the person who's suing you. Humbly accept responsibilities for what you have done. Humbly come and ask for forgiveness. And love always. The kingdom of heaven is at stake. The kingdom of God is up for grabs here. And petty squabbles should not hold up the kingdom of God. Little angers should not fill up our vision. Bitterness will corrupt the kingdom. We need to be strong and to keep our eyes on Jesus, because He is the prize, not winning the argument. I'm going to open it up for a couple of minutes. If anybody has any questions, comments, thoughts. I said I was going to do this throughout this sermon